this section we'll be looking at creating a simplified solid instead of simplifying the actual geometry. So I'm going to open up this support. Let's say this is an SC dock. Now one thing you'll notice if I start to select on the different faces here, in the properties panel you notice almost every face in this model is a spline. There'll be some cylinders in the model, maybe a few planes, but almost every face is going to be a spline. And as we look down the part, there's a lot of really small rounds, there's a lot of small rounds coming into one another. Might not give us the best mesh. To do a design study on this, it's going to be really hard to make any changes to this model because it's so complex. So what we might want to do is make a simplified representation of this. Because if we look at a front view of the model, you can see it's a pretty basic profile, coming down, up, across, back down and over. And if we use the Z direction to rotate this, it simply goes down a path. Goes across, down a little bit, across, and down again. So what we could probably do is simply sketch this basic profile and sweep it along to get this profile. So what we'll do to start this is I'm going to select on this front face and start to sketch on it. Now remember, we can select a plane and start to sketch on it. However, if we can't select on a plane to do our sketching, if this is a cone, if this is going to be a spline or different face, I can also simply click 3 points, 1, 2, 3, and define a plane. So I'm going to go to a plan view to start sketching on this. Now, for this experiment, and for this workshop, we're not going to use precise dimensions. I mean, you can always type in precise dimensions. So if I wanted to bring this along, I can bring it along a certain distance, come up a certain distance, at a certain angle, come back over, and back down. So what I've done is sketch the basic profile of this hat shape. Now we need to give this a thickness. So I can sketch and give it a thickness, and notice my lines are snapping to let me know when I'm perpendicular or parallel to the different lines that are there. However, if I escape, I'm going to undo once. A faster way for me to do this, instead of just sketching lines or rectangles, would be to use the offset curve tool. This lets us select curves on our model, and notice I can offset them inward or outward. So I'm going to offset them outward 1/4 of an inch. Once I have that shape, the last thing I need to do is close the sketch. Because these taper off on the ends, I'm going to sketch a line that tapers in at a 30-degree angle and just connect the lines. Notice after I finish a line and thinks I want to keep sketching them, I can either hit the escape key to cancel that line or right click and finish the line. Notice escape is the shortcut for this. Do the same thing on the other side. Just go at a 30-degree angle and finish that line segment. Now when I go to 3D with pull, you notice I have this surface that's there in my model, and I can pull it into a solid. Now the next thing we might want is, because this goes over and up and at these different angles, we may want to sketch a trajectory to pull this along. So the easiest way to do this is to first put a plane in the model. Now I want to sketch on the plane that goes this way down the part. So what I'm going to do is simply take the plane with the move tool and I'll rotate it 90. So in the red arrow, I'll choose 90 degrees and I'll use this to sweep along the path. So I'm simply going to sketch a line to indicate the sketch curve that's there, or the path of my sketch. So I can sketch out, up. I'm just going to basically mirror the path that's here. A few different arrows that are there pop up. Let me sketch this to a different location. And notice, do you see how it's snapping to different angles that are there? Sometimes this snapping can be difficult, so you can turn off snap to grid and snap to angle and make it a little bit easier to snap along the different paths on the model. So I'm just going to sketch a few more times to get the general feel of the path down, and I'll hit escape to end it. And so now I have the solid model that I sketched. I have this path that I want to go along, so I'm going to pull this surface. See how I can pull it straight across. Or if I choose our sweep option, our sweep tool guide in the pull tool, I can simply double click this path and I'll take that and sweep it along that path that's there. So it takes that sketch that I made and sweeps it along that profile. So what I did again is I selected the surface, selected the sweep tool guide, and double clicked the line that I drew. Now I can click our full pull option, I can click enter, and that will go the entire way along the path. So now this is a much more simplified version of the model we're working on, and of course I can add in and change any angles, change the sides, or add rounds into the model as well. Remember, if I just select on edges, we can pull to add in rounds or add chamfers to add as much detail as we need in this model. So I hope you've seen how you can use sketch and pull to make simplified representations of solids in case it's too complex or you just need a really rough model for your analysis. Thank you for watching.